Hello and welcome to the video. Today we're getting back in the air as it's time to take a look at the American Airlines Transcontinental Flagship Business Class seat. Back in 2015, American Airlines converted a number of its Airbus A321s to this three-class configuration to use on transcontinental routes between major cities on the east and west coast of the United States. Now, I've not flown on American Airlines for quite a while, but the last time I did, I was upgraded from economy to business, the only time I ever have been upgraded, and that was on a work flight from London to Chicago, so back then it was all pretty positive. But let's see how we get on today. 3 cabins then, with 10 seats in Business First, configured 1-1, 20 seats in Flagship Business, configured 2-2, and 72 in economy. Today I was sat in seat 9F, and that's because a little bit of research told me that row 6 had limited legroom, but to be honest I couldn't really tell, but if you are on the taller side you might want to consider that. I had a very quick look at the Flagship First seats. I couldn't linger very long because obviously there were people behind me waiting to get seated, but it looked like a good seat, plenty of space, probably a bit bigger than Club Suite. So then it was into the Flagship Business cabin, and first impressions were pretty good. I thought it would be a great cabin to fly in with a partner. Plenty of space. Yes, if you're next to the window you would be climbing over your fellow traveller on the aisle, but overall first impressions were pretty decent. All the connectivity was there, but it was very awkward to get to, having to reach back over your shoulder. Champagne in a plastic glass. I don't know that there's any excuse for that nowadays. We're well out of COVID, aren't we? I would expect a glass in Flagship Business. He went to this left turn very soon after getting airborne off runway 31 left at Kennedy, which is a noise abatement measure for those people living in Howard Beach and Hamilton Beach. It didn't used to be quite this tight though, but when we entered this turn it really reminded me of watching video of Concorde back in the day, turning left off this runway, but it must have been one heck of a spectacle for those people living down below there. Now, unfortunately, the video I took of the actual menu was very grainy, so I've used this, which is a very close copy. And I went for the seasonal fruit plate and the American breakfast. I was initially quite optimistic about the IFE. The screen was a good size, resolution looked okay, and when I started to look through the movie catalogue, it seemed quite extensive. But it quickly became apparent that this system wasn't going to work well for me today. It was very slow to respond to inputs, and a lot of the movies that I wanted to watch refused to load. One of the movies that would load was 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I was determined to understand it this time around. However, as usual, it eventually put me to sleep. After the plastic cups were cleared away, a proper drink service came round, and I was served up an excellent Bloody Mary. On to the food offerings for this flight then, and indeed some footage of what I had on the return flight. The seasonal fruit plate was absolutely fine, and the cinnamon roll was also very nice. However, I was not a fan of the American breakfast that was served up. I thought it tasted very odd. Here's some footage of the starter I had on the way back. Not my finest moment in terms of capturing all images of food, but there we go, so sorry about that. But here is the American Airlines signature dish, which is the ice cream sundae, always best washed down by a Bloody Mary, of course. The bed controls were all very logical, and when it was in its fully extended position, gave me plenty of room. As I've mentioned before, I'm 5'9", but had no problems at all. I didn't stay on the ground for very long at Los Angeles. As soon as I got off the aircraft, I went in search of the American Airlines Admiral's Lounge, and when I got there, I asked if I could get on an earlier flight to Las Vegas. The layover I had was around about 4.5 hours, so it was going to be pretty useful if I could do. And thankfully there was a delayed flight going fairly shortly, so I got on the standby list and headed straight back to the terminal that I'd just come from. And that's it for this one. I hope that's given you a good idea of what the American Airlines Transcontinental service is like. Overall, I enjoyed it. It was not so great on the way out, the route over to Los Angeles. I didn't think the service was particularly spectacular, and I didn't particularly enjoy the food. But on the way back, the other way, back into JFK, food was much better, service was improved, and just a much better all-round experience. The IFE was not particularly great, which was a shame, but again, if I recall, it was a bit better on the way back. It was interesting being in a premium cabin on a narrow body. Tend to find narrow bodies a bit more susceptible to turbulence, maybe not quite such a comfortable ride, but I didn't experience any dramas on this occasion, and overall would recommend and would have no hesitation in doing it again. Okay, bye for now.